This past weekend, we finally got to experience college football once again. And it's safe to say that a lot of us are glad that college football is pretty much back to normal. It's also safe to say that week one did not disappoint. There were some amazing games this weekend and also some big time upsets. There are a lot of things I could say about week one of the college football season, but for this video, I've decided to just give you my biggest takeaways. With that being said, here are my 5 biggest takeaways from week one of the 2021 college football season. Let's begin with number 1, which happens to be about the number 1 team in the country right now, Alabama. After a very impressive 44-13 win over the 14th ranked Miami Hurricanes, Alabama looks like the team to beat once again. Not only did Alabama look very impressive on the offensive side of the ball, which they have been the last few years anyway, they looked like old school Alabama in the early Nick Saban days on defense as well. Alabama only gave up 13 points as well as 266 total yards of offense, while also forcing 3 turnovers against what was supposed to be a pretty good Miami offense led by one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion, D'Eriq King. But it wasn't just the stats for the defense that made it look so good. Alabama's defense just looked like the old defenses back when Nick Saban first got to Alabama. Very aggressive, very physical, a lot of speed as well. Man, they were fun to watch to say the least. But of course, we can't forget about the new Alabama without talking about their high-power offense, and that definitely showed in this game as they had 501 total yards, led by their new quarterback in Bryce Young, who, by the way, had 4 touchdowns while throwing for 344 yards and was 27 of 38. In my opinion, Bryce Young is also the current Heisman favorite after week 1. If Alabama's defense can play this well for the rest of the season to go along with their already high-powered offense, I just don't see anybody beating Alabama at the end of the day. But it is also week 1, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves at the end of the day. Number 2, Clemson and Georgia might have the top 2 defenses in college football this season, but it's safe to say that neither of their offenses will be top 2. While nobody was expecting a high-scoring football game, I don't think anybody was expecting the final score of this game to be 10-3, with the only touchdown being a Georgia pick 6. Now, I will say this though, both offenses do have the capability of being elite. They just have to fix some things. For Clemson, the main 2 things they need to fix on offense are their offensive line play, as well as DJ Uiagalelei's pocket presence. It seemed like most of this game that DJ Uiagalelei was running for his life as soon as the ball was snapped, and he was also sacked 7 times. Now, don't get me wrong, Georgia's defensive line, and heck, front 7 for that matter, is incredible, but you should be doing better than that when you have an elite offense like Clemson, as well as an elite quarterback in DJ. While Clemson's offensive line is the main reason that DJ was sacked 7 times, it's also a partly at fault because of DJ himself. His pocket presence has to improve. There were multiple times where he could have gotten out of the pocket and thrown the ball away, but he held on to the ball too long and ended up getting sacked a couple times. One other thing I will just throw in for bonus about Clemson improving their offense is offensive coordinator Tony Elliott has to do better at calling the plays. The fact that they ran the ball, I think, 3 or 4 times the entire second half is not going to help you win ball games, especially against elite teams like Georgia. While Georgia might not have as many things they need to fix on the offensive side of the football, what they need to fix is very important. They need to be able to throw the ball down the field if they're going to be able to win football games in the future. JT Daniels did go 22 of 30, but the problem was he only had 135 yards of passing. What that shows you is that Georgia was doing a lot of dink and dunk football. And I can tell you this at being at the game in person. If you're going to beat elite teams like Alabama down the road, you cannot just play dink and dunk football the entire game. You have to be able to throw the ball deep and take some chances and win some of those 50-50 balls on those deep balls. Now, I still do think both of these teams are playoff caliber teams. In fact, I would put them both top 4 right now still, just because of how good their defenses are. And I know against way worse defenses, their offenses are going to look a lot better. If Georgia and Clemson can both improve their offenses, who knows? We could see this game as a national championship game or a playoff game. I just think they're both very good football teams that have a lot of potential to be even better than what they are right now. Number 3, Oklahoma's defense is still very sus. During this offseason, I was hearing a lot of people saying that Oklahoma finally had a defense. So where is it? Because it wasn't there on Saturday. Oklahoma gave up nearly 400 yards of total offense to Tulane this past Saturday. And while Tulane is a good team, they should not be putting up these types of stats against a team like Oklahoma that is supposed to have such an elite defense. Oklahoma has to do a better job against the passing game, because if you're going to give up 300 yards to Tulane, who knows how many passing yards you're going to give up against Big 12 teams and their elite offenses. Now, it wasn't completely bad for Oklahoma's defense. They did have some positives to take away from this game, like the fact that they held Tulane to 4 of 14 on third downs, and the fact that they also forced 3 turnovers. So there's at least those couple of good things that they can look at moving forward. But if Oklahoma does not improve their defense from week 1, it's just going to be another typical Oklahoma season. Probably going to make the playoff just to get blown out in the first round. Boring. Number 4. Ed Orgeron might be on the hot seat soon for LSU. While LSU head coach Ed Orgeron did win LSU a national championship in 2019, it has not been good since. Last season, LSU went abysmal 5-5. And their defense was non-existent. And so far to start this year, they went out west to play UCLA and lost 38-27. So I don't know what's going on with Ed Orgeron and LSU right now, but something has to be done about the defense. I'm going to be honest, Ed Orgeron at LSU is starting to look a lot like Gene Chizik at Auburn. After Gene Chizik won the national championship with Cam Newton, he really didn't do much after that. Ever since LSU won a national championship with Joe Burrow and offensive coordinator Joe Brady, they haven't really done much. And the difference is, though, here is Ed Orgeron has an NFL talented roster. He's had the time to replace the guys that he lost now. So he needs to really start winning some games soon, or he's going to be gone, in my opinion. I think it would be really silly to keep him if he has another mediocre season like this. And if he has a losing season like this, he's definitely got to go. But yeah, if I'm LSU, I definitely would start putting Ed Orgeron on the hot seat. He might be gone by the end of the season. We'll see. And last but not least, number 5. The Pac12 North might be the worst division in all of the Power 5. While the Pac12 overall did not have a bad weekend, and in fact went 6-6, the Pac12 North went 1-5. Now, it would be one thing if these losses the Pac12 North had were against good teams, but they weren't. Now, the only team that played a good team and lost and it was respectable was Stanford losing to Kansas State, who is a respectable Big 12 team. But for the other teams, there's no excuse. Washington State lost to Utah State. Cal lost to Nevada. Oregon State lost to a very mediocre Purdue team. But worst of all, number 20 Washington lost to FCS Montana. When the supposedly second best team in your division is losing to an FCS team, that's not a good look. Even their one win they had this weekend in Oregon over Fresno State, it was a 6-point game and Oregon had to win the game late. But right now, it's not looking good for the Pac-12 North, and I would say they are worse than the ACC Coastal right now. That's how low, in my opinion, overall the Pac-12 North looks right now. And there you have it, my 5 biggest takeaways from week 1 of the college football season. What did you guys think? Did you agree with a lot of them, or do you have some you'd beg to differ on? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave this video a like, as it helps out the channel immensely. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We've got more college football videos coming down the road. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, stay winning.